Today, I'm gonna show you 5 things you may not think belong in your toolbox, but are actually must-haves. And I'm gonna show you one bonus item that belongs in everybody's kit. The first thing you must have is aluminum foil. Now, this is handy all over the shop, and there's 3 main ways I use it. Let me show you. Now, Harley Davidson oil filters are notorious for making a mess all over the front of your bike. So I use some aluminum foil to put underneath the filter. So here I have the aluminum foil underneath the filter, and that's just gonna help keep the oil off the front of your bike and the regulator rectifier, help keep the mess to a minimum. Now, this isn't 100% perfect, but it's a whole lot better than getting oil everywhere when you take this filter off. This trick also works really good for any bike that has an oddly placed drain plug. So here the drain plug is right over top of the exhaust. So we're gonna use our aluminum foil to protect the exhaust and make us a little trough so that when we drain the oil, it goes into our pan and not all over the bottom side of our bike. Now, hands down, the most times I use this trick is when I'm draining the differential oil out of a shaft drive motorcycle. I use this trick because this oil back here is very thick, and what it has a tendency to do when you pull the drain bolt is run down the side, over the wheel, and down over the tire. Obviously, that's not good. You don't want oil on your tire. You want it in the drain pan. So I take aluminum foil and I protect the wheel. And then I'll even take some more aluminum foil here. And I make a little trough. Now, normally too, when you're doing this type of service, the bike is in an upright position. So now what this will allow it to do when you pull this drain bolt is the oil's gonna hit the aluminum foil and go right in your drain pan and keep your tire nice and clean. And the best part about this trick is it doesn't cost a whole lot. You can go into your wife's kitchen and pick out whatever flavor aluminum foil she has in the drawer and take it out to the shop. Just don't forget to put it on the grocery list. So the next must-have for every toolbox is this little thing right here. This is a seam ripper. This is a great trick. Say you need to cut open the wire harness. Sure, you can use a razor blade or your What the?
Do you need mine?
Something's going on. Oh, it loosened.
Spring break?
It loosened up. All right, I'll flick it harder. Or your pocket knife, but there's a chance you're gonna hit the insulation of the wires. And if you nick that, it's gonna allow moisture in or possibly even cause a short. So what you wanna do is use a seam ripper, and you're gonna use the seam ripper to open up the wire loom. Now, once you find the problem and you have a wire to splice, this is where the bonus item comes in. And let me show you what it is. Solder sticks. These things have been in my electrical kit for years. It's a product that I use and I like, and I think you guys will as well. This is the 500-piece kit. It has the white connectors, the red connectors, the blue connectors, and the yellow connectors, and those are for different gauge wires. Now, there's a little ring of solder here in the middle, and it's capsulated with heat shrink. What that does is that joins the wires and makes a watertight connection. They're weatherproof. What I really like about them is they make a slim repair and not some big bulky repair that you have to wrap back up in the wire harness. Now let me show you just how easy these are to use. First thing you want to do is strip your wires. The next thing you want to do, don't forget to put the solder stick over the wires. And then I take these and I give them a twist. Just like that. Slip this over your connection and use a heat gun. You can get away with using a little blowtorch. Just be really careful you don't melt the wires. And just like that, you have a strong waterproof connection. These things are awesome. I really like them. So go to solderstick.com or click the link in the description and use code TBM20 to save 20% off your next order of a 500-piece kit of solder sticks. Now, on to the next item of business. Now, for the next thing that you may not think of when you're thinking of useful things for the shop, leftover Chinese food containers. These things are amazing. One of the biggest benefits to these is you get to eat General Tso's chicken with some pork fried rice and not some soggy tuna sandwich out of a plastic bag. Now, what I like to use these for is when I'm taking something apart, and it's something that might be taken apart for a little while, or if I have a project and it's getting moved from one shop to another shop or something like that, I like to use these containers because they're a lot more sturdy and a lot more secure than your average plastic baggie. So you put your hardware in them and you just simply snap the lid on. After that, it's as simple as marking on what we got, and now you can stack these up and move your project to another location, or just keep them safe and sound without worrying about losing the bag. The other thing I really like these for is when it's time to put something back together. Or I'll even just have one of these lids laying on my workbench while I'm doing something. It's a lot easier to see what I'm working with using one of these than with a regular baggie. Now, sure, you can take this stuff out of a baggie and set it on the baggie, but then what happens if it moves, or this stuff can roll around? You're not losing hardware out of these. I like these, and obviously I like Chinese food, so I keep a lot of these in my toolbox. Now, this next one might not be for everybody, but I've used it over the years and it has worked really, really well for me. You see, before I had my shop, I actually worked a lot out of a shed. What would happen is I didn't have a constant heat source in the shed. So what would happen in the colder months here in Pennsylvania, when I would turn on a propane heater or a space heater or something, the moisture in the air would start to condense on all the metal in the shop. So what that meant is my tools would sweat in the toolbox. Now, this will cause issues with rusting and things like that, and it just bugged me to no end. Now, imagine that cycle happening every night you're out in the shop working throughout the week, whether it's 1 night, 3 nights, or 8 nights. My wife, the genius she is, came up with this great idea to use SIDEWALK chalk. So what I did was, my kids can open this, but I'm not sure I can. This trick is so simple, and I can't believe I never thought of it. All you do is you open up your toolbox drawer and you throw a couple pieces of SIDEWALK chalk in here and move to the next one, a couple pieces of chalk. And what that does is it just helps absorb all that extra moisture, keeping your tools nice and dry and preventing any sort of rust issues. Give this trick a try. I'm sure you're gonna like it. It's gonna help preserve your tools. On to the next one. Now, this last item is something I've had in my toolbox for the last 20 years, and it all started when I got my first Suzuki GSXR. Reading through the manual to put the bike in dealer mode, it was just a matter of jumping 2 wires underneath the seat inside the plug. So you have 2 options. One is you buy the $45 special tool to do that, or you use paper clips. In my opinion, paper clips are an absolute necessity to have in your electrical kit, and they really do come in handy when working on electrical issues. Now, one of the things I would recommend is, instead of the serrated paper clips, use the smooth paper clips. The other thing I'd recommend is having a couple of each size. A lot of times you're gonna find yourself using the smaller ones, but every once in a while it is nice to have a bigger one. Let me show you a couple of these uses. Here's my paper clip that came out of my multimeter end bag. Now, if you're getting into this work at all in any sort of production level or just getting it more involved in the hobby, I highly, highly recommend you get yourself a good multimeter and a good set of leads, right? One of the things I really like about these leads is I have interchangeable ends. So I have thick ends, I have alligator clip ends, I have small alligator clip ends, and I also have these little needle probes. But if you don't have these, a paper clip is gonna work just the same. Weather pack connectors are great, but they can be a little tricky when you're trying to pin the back of them and check continuity and do some wire testing. So I use a paper clip and I straighten it out. The paper clip does a really good job of getting in behind the insulation here, so you can get to the connector if you want to do any testing. That works a whole lot better than trying to get your multimeter tip in there. And now you can pin the back side of the plug without ruining anything. So all you guys that own a Suzuki motorcycle or ATV, I'm sure you already know the paperclip trick with putting it into dealer mode, but just in case you don't, here's what you do. On Suzuki's, you find this white plug underneath the seat. All you need is a paperclip. You find the correct plug underneath the seat, jump the 2 correct terminals, turn your key on, kill switch on, your dash will go through its self-check, and then down here in the bottom, it's gonna put it into dealer mode. It'll be a dash C00 if there are no codes, or dash C with the code number. You can go to the book or hop online, find the code. You can also use this right here to adjust your throttle position sensor on these Suzukis. Super helpful, super easy. It's a great tip, and now you know it. And to round out my list of things that can be useful in the shop, but definitely don't belong in the shop, is Cameraman Dan.
How does this work?
That's right. Shop work is always more fun when you have a friend to do it with you. And even if he's not that helpful, it's still a good time.
Are these metric? Well, it probably says it.
And even if they're not that knowledgeable or useful, it is still more fun when you have a friend in the shop helping you. Because somebody needs to get the pizza. Pizza's here! Check out the link down in the description for Solder Stick. Again, thank you for sponsoring this video. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and check out one of these 2 videos right here. I know you're gonna love them. Nailed it. Good job, Dan.